It's all a matter of choice. It's what we choose to do going forward. We can choose to work on ourselves. And say no to that face and body that we don't recognize anymore. To say no to that person we see in the mirror that is starting to look like our mother. It's all a matter of choice. We can work to change our mindset and attitude. We have to build that bridge. We have to build that bridge and move on from what we have lived with for all of our lives. It's not easy. It does take work. Hello again, this is Sandra Hart with Life Over 60. Life is a choice, and it just depends on what we want to do going forward as to how our outlook in life is. We can either think about aging and be content to just be a middle-aged woman who is invisible, or we can make the choice to live our life a lot better. Aging is a part of life, and the more we let go and let it happen, then the better off we are. We can make the choice now that we are free to move forward in our life and finally be who we were meant to be. You know, I have spent probably my entire life taking care of people. My children, then my elderly parents, my husband. You know, once you're a caretaker and once you're a mother, it seems like that's all we ever do. Especially women. I think we were raised as young girls to love our dolls, take care of our dolls. And our mothers were role models, and we saw her taking care of us and taking care of our fathers. And sometimes her parents as well. I had a friend of mine who has never married. She was a professional woman her whole life. She was in relationships, some long-term relationships, but she never married. And she is thinking about getting older and maybe fearful of getting older by herself. And she asked me a question. She said, "Do you think it's harder for a single woman to grow old and find herself? Or do you think it's easier for a married woman?" And I really had to think about that, because I honestly feel that because I've always been a caretaker, because I have been programmed to think of someone else before myself all the time, I think for married women and women who have children, it's much harder when we reach the age of 55, 60, 65, retirement age. I think it's much harder for us to let go of that image and try to be who we really are and try to cut the strings and identify us and find our own passions. I've always been used to taking care of someone, so therefore the people in my life today still feel that I have that responsibility. It's very hard to change your patterns when you're older. But I really have been thinking about my role in my life and my family's life. And I really want to find, and for them to understand that I have to have my own space. It's time now for me to put myself first. I think doing this YouTube channel has been a great eye-opener for me, because I have been able to connect with so many of you wonderful women out there in the mature community. I realize that we all are struggling with finding our own identity and feeling good about letting go and feeling good about thinking of ourselves first and finding our own passions. Life for us in this last stage is really very, very important. It's our time to find our passions, to be able to realize our dreams, and to be able to cut the strings of perhaps the burdens that other people has put upon us, the people that depend upon us. Now, I know, I'm not saying you have to neglect your family, but what I'm saying is we really should set boundaries. I think women are probably a little more weak about setting boundaries because we have been in that caretaker position so very long. Even if you don't have children, I think that if you have been responsible for anyone in your family, you know that everyone looks up to you as that caretaker and in that caretaker position. It's time for us to be strong and to step out of that box, as I always say, and to be able to live each day finding our passion and putting ourselves first so that for the years that we have left, we can be fulfilled and we can find an identity on our own. We can find our souls and find and realize who we are. I think a single person might not have so much of a problem with that if they've never really had to care for anybody except themselves, because it's easier for them to slip into the new chapter and they have more time to find their own passions, to find their dreams, and to walk the rest of the journey fulfilling what needs and what happiness they want. So I think I've answered my own question. I think as a married woman, a woman who has children, it's a lot harder for us to be able to break away and not feel guilty about wanting a life for ourselves, finally. I mean, we've done our job. And I think it's time for us to really be able to follow our dreams, to follow our passions, and to lead a fulfilling life. Somehow you have to walk in someone's shoes sometimes to be able to understand life and the role that everyone has to play in that big puzzle that we're all a part of. I think that we should all try to enjoy it and not be afraid of it. And just try to find ourselves, find our passion, cut the cords to those who depend upon us 24/7, and start stepping forward and being who we were meant to be since we were little girls. It is our time. And I think the most wonderful thing about YouTube here is that you and I are able to connect with one another. We're able to share our backgrounds, our stories, our joys, our troubles, without any questions, without any judgment. And I think that's what we all need. We all need a community of women who are aging gracefully and who are not afraid to find our passions and who are not afraid of aging, because it can be the best time of our lives. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you have a fantastic day today and that you definitely do something good for yourself. And as you know, I know you are so kind to everybody. And share that big heart of yours, because that's what we were put on this earth for, to love. Take care. See you soon.